Today is the day after Thanksgiving, and I was looking on the computer this morning and saw two very different messages, which was quite interesting for my mind. So I'll read a few of the headlines that I read. Retailers beckoned shoppers during morning television shows on Friday with commercials and holiday songs to remind viewers that the stores were open and the sales were on. But for many, the bargain shopping had already begun on Thanksgiving, as families and teenagers seemed to carve out time for shopping around their holiday meals and went out at night when many department and retail stores opened with major deals. As the sun was starting to rise in Illinois on Friday, two shoppers loaded their shopping bags into the trunk of their car. Exhausted after 5.5 hours of shopping, they were heading home to sleep. Gosh. More than 400 people lined up in 28-degree weather outside a store in Illinois just before the store opened Thursday night. So on and on. All these messages about this really obsessive consumerism that takes place this time of year. And in our society, we have this belief that if we have a lot of possessions, we're successful, and it's kind of the path to happiness, that these external things are what make us happy. And then I opened my email and I get quotes from this organization, and yesterday was a quote from Lama Tsongkhapa, who was a great Tibetan master that lived 1357 to 1419. And here's what he wrote. At present, most of the happy feelings that increase our attachment are minds of happiness that arise with respect to a relief of suffering. Yet there is no happiness by way of its own entity that is unrelated to suffering. For instance, if you suffer because you have walked too much, the mind of happiness that arises due to sitting down appears to be happiness that arises gradually, while the great previous suffering gradually ceases. However, it is not happiness by way of its own entity, for if you sit too much again, that will produce suffering as before. If they were causes of happiness by way of their own entity, just as suffering increases to the same extent as you are subject to the causes of suffering, so too should walking, sitting, lying, eating, and drinking, as well as sun and shade and the like, increase your happiness to the same extent that you indulge in them. However, it appears that in the long term, only more suffering is produced. And so I think this just brings home the idea again that as we look for happiness outside of ourselves for whatever we're going after, that what we get instead is a very unstable, very brief hit of happiness that then, if we continue with it, turns into suffering once again. Or dukkha, unsatisfactoriness. And so today, in this holiday season in this country, we can really start reminding ourselves not to get hooked into all of the media that gives us the message that our happiness lies outside of ourselves, and if we just get this certain widget or this thing, that then we'll be happy. But instead, to really start this season and for the rest of our lives, actually, to really start cultivating a kind heart and care for all others. And in that way, that's how we really build lasting happiness. That's how we really build peace and contentment in our hearts and minds.